Well, time for another guest this afternoon. And how has working in teams changed throughout the course of the pandemic? Curtin University's research from the Future of Work Institute suggests an adaptation effect when it comes to virtual collaborations. Here to tell us more is Dr Florian Klonek. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Look, tell us a little bit more about this. How did the COVID-19 pandemic actually affect how we collaborate virtually together?
Yeah, well, I think we know that last year when the Health Organization declared COVID-19 to be a pandemic, the way we worked worldwide changed. Like a lot of people started working remotely or had to work from home. And so that sort of is what we would call a significant global event that then has endurable changes on how people work together, in particular virtually. And so what we were interested is sort of to find out whether people adapt to this over time, because it was such a major impact.
Well, I mean, when you looked at this research, are there areas in which performance and ability to function actually improved, or did it have a negative impact on teams?
Yeah, so what we did in our research, so we invited participants to come in our lab and then sort of to work on a standardized virtual task. So they all had to do that working remotely. And we initially designed the experiment to test sort of differences in what we would call smart work design, how that would impact the team performance outcomes. But what was also interesting is that we measured these teams across different phases of the pandemic. So we measured them during the very early phases and during the late phases. And what we found is that those working in the later phases of the pandemic, they showed better what we call team functioning. So better coordination, better management of emotions. And these are critical performance processes.
So what are the implications, I guess, then for leaders and business owners about how to manage and virtual teams from here on in?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for once, the research shows that managers should pay attention to sort of critical events that have an impact on processes that then relate to performances of their employees and of their teams. So the COVID-19 pandemic is a particularly salient and major event, but organizations can also go through other type of major impacts, such as mergers and acquisitions, change management. All that can have an endurable effect on how people interact with one another. But the other finding that we had from the research that was sort of almost independent of the phase, there can be changes in what we call like smart work design adaptations. So when those teams that had sort of a smarter work design, so better process interdependencies, they showed actually also better team functioning and better team effectiveness. So those were things like giving everyone an equal access to information and resources. So there were some teams that just had sort of fewer resources and they didn't perform as well. And these are some interesting insights that managers can take away when they think more proactively around how to deal with future changes.
Well, it certainly has been an interesting 12 months on the work front. Thank you for bringing us those insights, Dr. Florian. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. Yes.